Chuck Norris, a name that became a symbol of strength, silence, and old-school honor. For decades, he kept his opinions locked behind a steel gaze, refusing to indulge in Hollywood gossip or personal grudges. But that's what makes his recent confession all the more shocking. In a rare moment of unfiltered honesty, the martial arts legend finally broke his silence. And what he revealed left fans stunned. He named 4 actors he can't stand, and the reasons behind each feud? Fierce, personal, and in some cases, explosive. These aren't your typical celebrity spats. They're rooted in betrayal, disrespect, clashing values, and decades of unresolved tension. So what finally pushed Chuck over the edge? And who made the cut on his personal blacklist? This is the untold story of Chuck Norris's greatest off-screen battles, and the 4 actors who crossed the wrong man. Born in the small town of Riot, Oklahoma, on March 10, 1940, Chuck didn't exactly have the makings of a future martial arts legend. His childhood was marked by hardship. His father, a World War II veteran with Cherokee roots, was mostly absent, leaving Chuck's mother to raise him and his brothers in a broken home. By the age of 16, after his parents' divorce, Chuck was already familiar with instability, poverty, and emotional isolation. In 1958, looking for direction, he joined the U.S. Air Force and was stationed in South Korea. It was there that he discovered Tang Soo Do, a traditional martial art that would ignite a passion and purpose in him. Chuck returned to the U.S. with a black belt and a burning desire to master his craft. He started teaching martial arts, eventually opening schools and training celebrities like Steve McQueen and Donny Osmond. In the late 60s, he entered the world of martial arts competitions. At first, he lost, but he didn't quit. By 1968, he was the middleweight karate champion of the world, a title he held for 6 years. Then came his big break into film when Bruce Lee cast him as Colt in the 1972 movie The Way of the Dragon. Their epic showdown in Rome's Colosseum became one of the most iconic martial arts scenes in cinema history. That fight made Chuck famous, but what came next could have changed his life forever. Bruce Lee wanted him back for Enter the Dragon, offering him the role of O'Hara, one of the villains. Chuck refused. He didn't want to lose to Bruce again. More importantly, he didn't want to be typecast as a second-tier character. He was ready to be a leading man. That decision, walking away from one of the most famous kung fu films ever made, was bold, but it paid off. Chuck began taking on lead roles in American action films. Unlike the Hong Kong-based martial arts films of the time, his movies focused on U.S. themes: revenge, justice, patriotism. Good Guys Wear Black, A Force of One, and The Octagon were hits. In Missing in Action, Chuck played a soldier rescuing POWs in Vietnam, a role inspired by his brother Wieland, who died during the war. The movie was a massive success, solidifying Chuck as America's action hero. In 1993, Chuck took his brand to television with Walker, Texas Ranger. It became a cultural staple. But while fans adored it, critics had their concerns. Some accused the show of glorifying excessive force. One review criticized a scene where Walker violently silences a suspect without reading his rights. A UCLA study highlighted the show's frequent hand-to-hand violence. Chuck defended his work, saying it was always framed by a clear moral compass: good versus evil. For better or worse, the show struck a chord and became one of the most watched series of its time. Despite his public image of calm professionalism, Chuck Norris had enemies in Hollywood. After decades of keeping his opinions to himself, he finally admitted there were 5 actors he had serious issues with. First on the list was JeanClaude Van Dam. Before Van Dam became famous, he worked as a bouncer at a bar owned by Chuck. They had a friendly start, But rumors of a failed film project in the 90s and later disagreements soured their relationship. Chuck reportedly criticized Van Dam's lack of discipline and professionalism during a martial arts exhibition in Texas. Then there was Seagull. In the late 80s, Seagull made disparaging remarks about Bruce Lee and Chuck, suggesting American martial artists were not authentic. Bob Wall, a close friend of both Chuck and Bruce, responded by organizing a group of respected martial artists to challenge Seagull to a real fight. Seagull declined. The martial arts community viewed this as a blatant sign of disrespect. Though Chuck didn't comment publicly at the time, his disapproval was clear. Alec Baldwin represented a different kind of rivalry. Chuck has long been vocal about his conservative political views, endorsing candidates like Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz. Baldwin, on the other hand, is a liberal icon, best known for mocking Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live. Chuck wrote a blog post criticizing Hollywood elites who mock American values, never naming Baldwin directly, but the target was obvious. Shia LaBeouf was next. During a commercial shoot in the late 2000s and 10s, LaBeouf's erratic behavior reportedly clashed with Chuck's disciplined approach. Norris later posted a cryptic message: "Fame without discipline is chaos." He didn't name names, but many believed it was a veiled shot at LaBeouf, whose history of outbursts and legal issues was well known. The last name on the list is more ironic: Bob Wall, the man who replaced Chuck in Enter the Dragon. While they had once been close, various public comments over the years led to tension between them. Thankfully, they reconciled before Wall's passing. While Chuck navigated these professional tensions, his personal life brought him even more challenges. He married his high school sweetheart in 1958 and had 2 sons with her. However, he also fathered a daughter during an affair, a fact he didn't learn until she wrote him a letter in 1990. He embraced her into his life, another sign of his quiet integrity. In 1998, he married model Gina Okelly. Years later, she underwent a series of MRI scans using gadolinium-based contrast agents. Shortly after, she developed serious health problems: burning sensations, heart issues, intense pain. Believing the dye had poisoned her, Gina and Chuck filed a lawsuit against several medical companies. Chuck said he stepped away from Hollywood entirely to care for her. To this day, she continues to suffer symptoms. In 2021, Chuck found himself at the center of a bizarre controversy when a photo of someone who looked like him appeared at the U.S. Capitol riot. Social media exploded with claims that Norris had participated. He quickly shut it down, saying he wasn't there and condemning violence. His manager confirmed he was at home with his family in Texas. Still, the rumors showed just how fast misinformation can spread online, especially when a celebrity is involved. Amid all this, Chuck became a meme legend in the mid-2000s. The Chuck Norris facts phenomenon turned him into a mythical figure capable of absurd feats. Chuck embraced the humor with humility, even publishing an official fact book. He also sued one publisher for misusing his name, but eventually dropped the suit. While the jokes gave him a new level of fame, they never overshadowed the real story: a disciplined man who stood by his values. Through it all, criticism, controversy, and conflict, Chuck Norris remained true to who he was. He built a career on respect, responsibility, and hard work. He took bold risks, like turning down Enter the Dragon. He faced public backlash for his political views. He stood firm through family struggles and personal heartbreak. And in the end, he walked away from Hollywood to be there for the person who needed him most. Chuck Norris isn't just an action star. He's a man who fought battles far beyond the screen. And in doing so, he reminded us that true strength comes not from power, but from principle. If you found this deep dive into Chuck Norris's hidden life fascinating, Hit that like button and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories from the legends of Hollywood. Thanks for watching.